Okay, we've just covered the salesman, or the individual who drives by lying, hype, masks, motivation, manipulation, fear, force, scarcity in order to drive for temporary certainty. Or ultimately having people believe that somehow having something outside of them, a thing outside of them, will create powerful results inside of them. Having this cream will make me this. Having these boobs will make me this. Or this boob job, having this car will make me that. Having this amount of money will make me this. If I have these clothes, etc. So we're going to take for a moment and we're going to suspend and we're going to say that this game itself has been useful. Meaning it produced results. And here's the crazy thing. Do you realize that today it will still produce results? The problem is there's a backlash for this. In Buddhism and Hinduism is a principle they believe in called karma. I believe in karma too. So I guess you could call me part Buddhist. I don't know what that means for you, but it means something deep for me. Eastern wisdom and karma is that as what I put out is what comes back. In Christianity, we would call this the law of the harvest. What I sow is what I reap. Hence, when sales, my experience has been that when you choose to operate a business from this place, when your salespeople choose to operate from this place, this experience itself becomes one of backlash. We've watched this happen in organizations. There's some big names you're going to be seeing on the news at the time of recording this. Big authors with big sales teams where their entire sales force has been about get the people, screw the people, force the people. In the speaking world, that was a world that I got raised up in. It was something I saw from stage, but more importantly from behind the scenes, on the backside of the stage, with some of the top speakers that you know of in the industry, who ultimately didn't really care about people. They just wanted to make some money. So let's talk about what might be available for you as an authentic influencer. As Brett talked to you about the revolution that's on our hands with consumers and consumers just not trusting, the reality is the space is opening up more and more for people who deeply and truly care about their students, who deeply and truly care about their prospects, who deeply and truly care about the possibility of connecting with you as a client. These are what we call the influencers. These influencers, and I'm going to put up on our board here as authentic influencers. Now, authentic influencers then, as we based off on our last one, saying that inauthentic influencers or salespeople drive off of lies. They do this again because they're looking to create certainty. Now, we said that certainty was something that both the authentic influencer and the salesperson shared as a commonality. Certainty had to be found. Where certainty is found, you will find action. People are drawn to it. They're magnetized to it. They choose to experience it. They want it. You want it. I want it. So, how do we create that as a result in our life then? How do we go about truly creating certainty without manipulating other people? How do we go about creating certainty without having people believe that it's found outside of them, but to teach them that it's found inside? Well, it requires a shift. It requires a shift because an authentic influencer does not stand for lies. Integrity is the standard. And integrity to the point that I am willing to tell you the truth, even if the situation loses business from you to me. I'm willing to speak what is, not to sugarcoat it, to be transparent, to be clear about my processes, to be clear about my products, to be clear about my promotions, to be clear in my marketing, to be transparent in my influencing skills, to be transparent in my fulfillment of my products. And this game itself requires you to be willing to not lie, but to be in integrity. As we spoke about before then, hype itself is no longer needed. Where there's integrity and there is truth, instead of hype, what we seek for is connection. Instead of finding ourselves in a place where we're forced to lie and to create hype as a way of being, and we'll look at this one more time, we don't play these games. These games are not even an option for the authentic influencer. And this idea of wearing a mask is ridiculous. The standard becomes transparency. Integrity, connection, and transparency. All three of these being utilized to produce the same outcome, which is certainty. But certainty not found in or outside of me, certainty found inside of me. Now, all of us have been in a space with a person like this. These are the people who are magnetized. These are the people who literally draw us in. You've been in a room when a person like this walks in, or a speaker shows up in this space. There's someone that, when just watching them, we feel a draw. We feel a pull to be in their connection. Their words and what they say and how they say it seem to be in such a powerful place. It's almost as if we don't necessarily hear what they're saying so much as we feel what they're saying. That's my time. We're done. Just kidding. So in that space, then, this is a big distinction. Connection, not hype. Hype has me focus on the words I'm hearing. Connection has me focus without even knowing it. Takes me to a space and to a place of focusing on what I'm feeling based on what I'm hearing. The words become wrapped in a different type of energy. These type of men and women can walk into a room and we feel them. We see these couples that walk into a space and we're impressed. We stand back in awe because of the energy that surrounds them. They're people who are real. They're people who are raw. They're people who are relevant. They're individuals that are unafraid to show up transparent, to show up in truth, and are willing to risk you rejecting them by seeking out for connection. These are the influencers. And in today's society and in today's business structure, people are begging for this. They're begging for authentic influencers. They're begging for authentic connection. And there are 3 steps, 3 clear, powerful steps that an authentic influencer must understand. And not only the idea that integrity, connection, and transparency are necessary, but that in order to build those 3 things, in order to build the connection, that I'm going to operate in 3 phases. Phase number 1 is the phase of inspiration. Phase number 2 is instruction. Phase number 3 is invitation. 1, 2, 3. Each one building upon itself, each one committed to understanding how integrity, connection, and transparency are built. Now, let me share one last story for this section, and then we're going to head into 3 more sections that will discuss each of these areas in depth and detail for roughly 8 to 10 minutes. Here's my experience with this. There was an individual who came into my life about 3 years ago. His name was Steve D'Annunzio, and it was amazing to be in this space. When I would connect with him, he was actually a client of mine in banking. I was doing a mortgage for him, and every way he showed up for me, I had no idea what he did at the time, outside of what his normal situation was economically, how he made money. But I came to find out he was a coach. He was a spiritual coach. And he was somebody who, when you were in their presence, you wanted to be with them, and you wanted to refer everyone you knew to them. You probably know somebody like this in your life. It's the guy who not necessarily is the life of the party guy, not the person who's doing the keg stands and impressing you that way, but it's somebody who comes in, it's not college anymore, but somebody who, when you're in your space and when you're in their experience with them, you feel this longing to both send everyone you know to meet them and to be in their presence. This is what Steve was like with me. Steve laid out really clearly these opportunities. The first thing he did is he came in seeking one particular thing with me, and that was deep and sound connection. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be connected to me. He wanted to be connected to you. He wanted to be connected to humanity. In feeling that connection, I was inspired. I felt my spirit, my soul light on fire in his presence. I felt this draw to be better. I didn't want to be Steve. I wanted to be me. It was so different than being at events where speakers would speak and I'd want to be them. He then took me to a place of instruction where he laid out principles and understanding and laid forth and created massive value for me. And in that massive value, he extended an invitation to me. The invitation was to be part of his process. The invitation was to be part of his coaching experience. And in our next section, you're going to begin to learn the secrets that had him, without even having to force one iota of it, have me pull out $15,000 and give it to him. And not only that, to send 10 people $150,000 of worth of commission to him in less than 12 months. So stick with us through to the next section.